15 to 20 minutes, and then Group Captain Sandeep Mehta would be speaking for about another 15 to 20 minutes, followed by my good friend Mr. Mayank Singh, Defense and Strategic Affairs media person, who's now associated with Indian Express Madurai Group. And after the initial presentations, this will be thrown open for discussions. There will be question answers. We have experts from the field who can actually add value to the whole discussion. And Mr. Shivkumar will sum up the whole deliberations, and I think that would be the last part of the program. Why we have organized this program? I think the recent airstrikes are a paradigm shift in the way that we are dealing with our nasty neighbor, who has been encouraging terrorism and who's made terrorism an instrument of his foreign policy. Prior to that, most of our reactions have been muted, controlled, and for the first ever time after 1971, we had actually attacked Pakistani territory, sparing the civilians, sparing the military installations. We attacked the terrorist organizations, thus exercising our right to defend our territory, our people, from the terrorist organizations that are operating from Pakistani soil. This called for deft diplomacy, tearing down of the security personnel, and also decisive political will of the political establishment of the day in our country. So it's a combination of all the three and represents the national will of the people. I'm not one to believe that one surgical strike or one aerial strike will end Pakistan's roguish nature. It would continue to attack us in many ways, and Pulwama would not be the last. But then, by demonstrating that we are willing to take risks and attack the terrorist camps in Balakot, which is part of the Pakistani territory, which is on the CPEC highway that links China's Xinjiang province with the Gwadar, we have demonstrated our will that we can take on our enemy, and we are willing to, as a nation, we are willing to take risks. But then we find that the kind of civilian awareness that should be there is seriously lacking. The society as a whole is not aware of the way military operates, the way strategic objectives are achieved, and the way the tactics are planned. We, for some funny reason, seem to believe in scorecards. Whether 300 people died or 250 people died, I think this number game is useless. More than the number game, the strategic objective of demonstrating India's will to strike the terrorists is the most important thing, that the important lesson that the world can draw from us. The way Indian MiGs have attacked and mauled the fourth generation fighter jets like the F-16s, I think would be studied across the world in the defense colleges, how we downed the F-16, and the other strategic implications of this aerial strike would also be studied in all seriousness across the world. Unfortunately for the Indian population, this is reduced to a cricket scorecard. There is an intense debate. It's unfortunate that when we should be discussing Agra talks, we would be discussing about the Bandgala of Atal Bihari Vajpayee or the bow tie of Parvez Musharraf. When we should be discussing serious Indo-Pak issues, we would be discussing about the accessories that Hina Rabbani Khar carries. So at some level, sensitization of the Indian population about matters of defense, matters of strategy is very important. Unfortunately, this is sadly and seriously missing in the Indian discourse. So our chief aim is to bring matters of defense closer to the people. In fact, India has a very rich and glorious culture of civilian and defense engagement some 150 to 200 years ago. This is, for some strange reasons, is missing from the discourse today. For instance, Dashmesh Guru Govind Singh Ji, the 10th Guru of the Sikhs, he wrote a poem especially on the sword. It is known as Jai Tegang. Teg is sword. If you actually read the poem that Guru Gobind Singh wrote on as an ode to the sword, it goes something like this: Jai Jai Jagakarana Srishti Ubarana Mama Pratiparana Jai Tegang. He is actually worshipping the sword. Sukha Santa Karanam Kilbikha Haranam Durmati Dharanam Asharanam. This is the ode that he sings to the sword somewhere in the 17th century. We have Bhushan Kavi, who comes all the way from Kanpur region of Uttar Pradesh and goes to Chhatrapati Shivaji and sings paeans to his military might. The Kavi Bhushan, there's a very famous poem where he describes the army of Shivaji and its mercurial movements. It goes something like this. साज चतुरंग सेना रंग में उमंग धरि सरजा शिवाजी जंग जीतन चलत है भूषण भनत नाद विहग नगाड़न से नदी नद मद गेबरन में रलत है ऐल फैल खैल फैल खलक में गैल गैल गजन के ठैल पैल शैल उसलत है तारा तो तरणी धूली धारा में लगत जिमी थारा पर पारा पारा वारियों हलत है. This is how Shivaji's army was described some 400 years ago. Remove the hyperboles, remove the exaggerations, but it still manages to capture the might of Shivaji's army. Unfortunately, these things are missing. India perhaps is the only culture where exalted spiritual souls and people who die in the battlefield are equated. This is perhaps the only culture in the world where a soldier falling in the battlefield with his chest pointed to the enemy is put on an equal pedestal with an exalted spiritual soul. We have a shloka in Sanskrit which says Dvavimau Purusho Loke Surya Mandala Bhedinau Pravirat Yoga Yuktascha Ranechabhimukhe Hatau. It says Dvavimau Purusho Loke Surya Mandala Bhed. There are only two kinds of people who can manage to pass through, break through the Surya Mandala and reach the Vaikuntha. Dvavimau Purusho Loke Surya Mandala Bhedinau Pravirat Yoga Yuktascha. Exalted spiritual souls who spend their whole life in penance and sadhana manage to do it, and the only second to do that is Pravirat Yoga Yuktascha Ranechabhimukhe Hatau. He who dies with his chest pointed to the enemy in the battlefield is the only second person who can break through, pierce through the Surya Mandala, our Shastras say. Unfortunately, this knowledge or this idea of worshipping the warrior is sadly missing in the current discourse. And through our efforts, the National Security Research Foundation, which is part of the Awareness in Action, our mother organization, is striving to create awareness about aspects of defense, military and strategy. And earlier also, under the banner of Awareness in Action, we had organized a roundtable on the Siachen, its strategic importance and the imperatives that the society has to do for the about the Siachen area and its significance. 2 years ago, to mark the 50th year of the 1965 war, we organized a series of lectures, 4 programs, each addressed by 3 defense personnel who had participated either in the 1965 war or in 1971 or both. We had 8 experts, two Mahavir Chakra winners addressing us in Hyderabad. We have organized these programs in Narayanguda area. It was like every Saturday evening was dedicated to our heroes, war heroes, and experts from the field. One of them was from a medical corps, Davanapalli Narsimha Rao. He was from the medical corps, and he also explained, he was awarded Mahavir Chakra. Then we also organized programs on various defense issues. So in continuation with our pursuit of greater civilian engagement in matters of defense, strategy and national security, we are organizing this program, and we have a very distinguished panel. Of course, Major General Shiv Kumar, I've heard him speak at the Hyderabad conclaves. I've seen him in a different avatar. He was speaking about how to build a better Hyderabad using leveraging science and technology. Major General, he is honorary advisor to the ASCII Administrative Staff College of India. He would be the first speaker, and he would also sum up. Group Captain Sandeep Mehta, of course this is my first interaction with him. He has been the Chief PRO, Ministry of Defence, for the Western Air Command. For those who are aware, Western Air Command is the Air Force division that has actually participated in the current operations in Chakoti, Balakot and Muzaffarnagar. Then Mr. Mayank Singh is a senior journalist who has been writing on defense affairs for quite some time. He is toured widely. He is one of the very few fortunate journalists who had actually visited Siachen in 2009. The first batch of media persons were taken to Siachen, and he was one of the few journalists who had actually gone over to the Siachen area and had a first-hand experience about the life there in Siachen. So I would now request Shri Major General R. Shiv Kumar Garu to address us. And at the end of the, we can reserve all our questions at the end after all the 3 speakers speak, and then we can have a fruitful discussion. Dhanyavad.